Marlin Steel is a factory. We build things in Baltimore, Maryland. We ship all over the world. We make material handling baskets and cleaning baskets and sheet metal fabrications for factories that work in the medical, pharmaceutical, and automotive industries. Marlin was established in 1968. I bought the company in 1998. However, we started exporting about a decade ago. We've really ramped up over the last couple of years, and it's really powered our growth, enabled us to hire more people, enabled us to bring on more equipment to satisfy our international client. We export mostly to Mexico and Canada and Europe. However, Asia's become very strong recently. The thing I'm most proud about is that we export to China. We use American labor, American robots, American steel, and we export to China. We're doing this because our equipment and our people are so top-notch that we can make a higher level of quality that you can't get from a typical Chinese vendor. So it's worth it for Chinese companies to buy from us in Baltimore, put it on a boat all the way to Shanghai. It makes sense because of our quality and our engineering.
Paulson Manufacturing has been in business since 1947 as a producer of safety products. We protect the eyes and face, not only of industry, but of policemen, medical products, everything that you can imagine for protection for eyes and face. In the beginning, international trade was only of an importance when we got the occasional order. But what happened is, as we developed our international trade over the months and years, it is now essential to our monthly production. About 25% of my total factory output is international trade, and some months it's quite a bit higher. The surprising part is that I traveled around to visit all of my major customers, and I found out that my domestic production was actually being re-exported. So 30% of my domestic production, what I always thought was being consumed in the U.S., actually goes out to international trade. So if you add that 30 back to my 25, half of everything I do is exported out of this country. I was recently asked by my insurance company, where do I buy my raw materials? And you should have seen the broad smile on their face when they realized that I buy all my raw materials in the U.S. because they realize that the materials made in the U.S. are of a higher quality and more consistent. As far as for the U.S. government and their facilitation is mostly to stay out of my way because I know how to get it done. But they need to make sure that we are all working on an even playing field, because when we lose large contracts or we don't have the opportunities and it's because there's an uneven playing field, that's where the U.S. government can really come in and help even this thing out.
My brother and I started Patton Electronics Company in 1984. We were both students at the University of Maryland and looking for a way to pay our tuition. And so we started this little mail order company, manufacturing, selling data communications equipment. We were early on the internet in the early 90s when it first started to take hold. And so companies in our industry were also on the internet and found us. So we started to see the demand. About 70% of our sales are exports going to other countries. That's been growing pretty steadily ever since we started exporting. Being an electronics manufacturer in the U.S. has become a rare thing, and there's so much of that business that's been driven to Asia in particular, China and other places. We do sell a tremendous amount of our equipment into Asia and China. And the biggest reason is because we have a product that is differentiated on the software level. And we have a reputation for a very reliable product. Our business has been growing at 20% average annual compound rate since we started. And if we didn't have that international side, we wouldn't have been able to continue that kind of growth over the period. So a significant portion of our employment was due wholly to our export business.